Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Jason Hunt here, inviting you to join us every Saturday morning for news, the week's headlines in science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, video games, plus Comic-Con updates and the weather, and the occasional interview along the way. We call it Good Morning Multiverse. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, right here on Sci-Fi for Me TV.
Dragon Girl Albino Warrior #1 is an East meets West martial arts fantasy comic with superheroes and kaiju elements. The comic follows two stories. The first is about a 24-year-old Chinese warrior monk named Pai Long who was raised in seclusion at the Bai Long Temple, learning the way of the White Dragon Lord. Propriety, integrity, justice, and honor, and mastering White Dragon Kung Fu. But now, because of a prophecy, he must come to America. The second story is about a 16-year-old geek girl named Danny Finney with an extremely rare and terminal case of muscular dystrophy that confines her to a wheelchair. Danny's loving and supportive parents, Mary and James, are desperate to find a cure that can save her. Check out Dragon Girl Albino Warrior and see why I call it a light in dark places, as Galadriel would say.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, your host, the senior managing editor here at criticalblast.com. Don't ever forget, we have a website. I know you all come to the podcast, but every once in a while, there's something actually on the main page. I am also the chief envelope licker for Critical Blast Logistics, the myopic proofreader of Critical Blast Publishing, and I will answer the phone and help you with the data that you pull down from Kickstarter and Indiegogo through Critical Blast Consultings. With 35 years of IT and database experience behind us, yeah, we can help you with that. good crowd tonight here. Good to see Solid Halon out there. He is first. I can't move comments around, or I would, and I would make Woody first just to see if I could try it. Good to have you here, Woody. Mike Walters has popped in, liked, and shared the stream. Hope that everyone does that because this is launch night. Now, technically, this is, we've just dropped first stage of the launch. Our guest has already launched over on the Comic Madness with Pops Van Zant. So, already off to a good start with his Kickstarter. Please welcome with me to the show, Mr. Mike Nunnally. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Always good to have you on, man. Because you've always got another comic in the pipeline, man. You just keep cranking them out.
Yeah. I that's at least in part because I'm one of those guys that likes to do the work now if I can possibly do it. So I mean, I've got several issues of most of the series I'm writing already done.
I got a 6-page comic I got to write, and I'm like 2 pages in, and I'm like, I've written novels that went faster than this.
Yeah, it's all about the solid outline.
Yeah. So I'm like drawing, stick figures and panels, and I'm like throwing stupid word balloons on there. It's gonna be. And Mike, I didn't cook those hot dogs. That's a meme I stole from someone else. But yeah, I put it on Facebook, and let's just say that hot dogs wrapped in ham and then fried in a skillet. The ham kind of swells up. They don't look so hot. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about comics. Now, keep me straight. What was the last book you were here with?
Seder, I believe. Seder number 1, the Viking horror comic.
SEIDR, beheading all the Vikings. Yes, that one. So that one's shipped out the door, being fulfilled.
That campaign was actually not successful.
Oh.
Well, However, all the people who backed it did get that digital guarantee, I promise. So they still got their digital copy of the comic.
I was gonna say the book was done, wasn't it? It was
the book was done. It just didn't, I don't know, maybe it didn't reach enough ears or enough audience or whatever. It just didn't quite make it.
Ah, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, let's make this one a little bit better. This has got, you're in Canada, aren't you?
No, I'm in California.
Okay. Then Lucy, you got some splaining to do here, because this is a $2,804 goal.
Yes,
that's rather specific.
It is rather specific. Actually, I'm doing something specific with the money. I went ahead and I actually go outline all this on the Kickstarter there, but I break it down exactly what all that is for. $2,060 goes to my artist, Tosin Awasika. $545 goes to printing the 44-page comic. 150 copies of those. Let's see. There's we put a couple ads in the comic. We put an ad in the comic and an ad out here on the Kickstarter, which is why we're able to only charge $9 for the 44-page comic. But we also added 2.5% of the gross to Wicked Publishing for their handling the fulfillment of the campaign, and 5% of the gross was added on top of that for what Kickstarter is taking. So I
hope you remembered that part.
Yep. Just the $2,804 is exactly how much I need to cover my costs, and that's what I'm going for here.
Okay, so no rounding up, no $3,000 here. It's like the bare minimum is on here, folks. We got to reach this to get this comic out. So we're at 8 backers right now, kicking this off. 8 backers with $132. Kickstarter auto refreshes. So everyone keep that number in mind. Write it down on a post-it note. Open up a notepad. Just put it in the corner there. $132. We're going to see. I want to know when this thing changes. Let me know. Let me know if we have a shake and bake moment here. I want to make sure we see that happen. So when I see the title, Dragon Girl Albino Warrior, I want to say, does somebody else have a Crouching Dragon or a Hidden Tiger comic out right now? Because there's one that's like almost the name of the movie that was out.
I personally haven't seen it, but I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. There's another martial arts fantasy comic out right now, though. Actually, I think it might have already been funded. It was.
It's like Black Tiger Hidden Dragon or something.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
There's something out there. Anyway, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw Dragon Girl, Albino Warrior. I can guess which one's the Albino Warrior just looking at the picture here.
Yeah.
So this is not a metaphor.
Nope. Literally an albino. Actually, it's to be clear, it's a little bit more than albinism. I'll let you in on a little tip. Pai Long is you'll find this out in the comic. He is a child of prophecy, and that prophecy is about the return of the great white dragon lord. So he is not white simply because he's an albino.
He's fulfilled. Now the temple, he has the same name as the temple, so that would kind of
almost. Pai Long is his name. Bai Long is the temple name. Bai Long actually means white dragon.
Okay.
And Pai Long, I believe, means dragon strike or dragon punch, something along those lines.
So Pai is the dragon word.
No, long is the dragon word.
Long is the dragon word. Okay.
Strike or punch word. Yeah.
I'm trying to learn Chinese on the fly here. There's only 127 different dialects. Come on.
Right.
So he's so this, I'm going to get critical with you here.
Okay.
This is a trope. We've seen this trope before. There's a prophesied white savior. Now in this case he's literally white, but he may not be the white savior or the great white prophecy, because you have another character who is in America, and we've seen this before where I've written this before. The Remo Williams series, the Destroyer stuff, is all about a prophecy of being fulfilled, and Remo Williams, the white Westerner, is the one who's fulfilling this Eastern martial arts prophecy.
The white thing actually has nothing to do with race in this particular case. It's based upon the white dragon lord, and the white dragon lord. Bear in mind, we're talking about Chinese dragons. We're not talking about Western dragons where the knight goes off and slays them, and these evil creatures you have to kill off. In Eastern philosophy and Eastern cultures, and in China specifically, dragons are revered as wise creatures. They provide healing, and they are it's all about the wisdom and the pureness and the good and all of that kind of thing. And really, that the white in that is about the symbolism of the color white, as opposed to a race.
Okay. Is white modifying dragon or modifying lord? I mean, is it a white dragon lord?
It's a great white dragon lord is the full name. It's one of the old gods.
Okay. I'm just trying to, I know what all the words mean,
right?
But I can paint different pictures with them if I think about, the emphasis.
There are 5 different dragons. There's a great black dragon lord. There's a great red dragon lord. There's a great blue dragon lord. There are several of them, and each of them controls a fundamental aspect of the universe.
Okay, so a dragon lord is still a dragon.
Yes, it is still a dragon, but it's a like Chinese dragon. It's more like a dragon. It's more serpentine.
Lord. Okay, because I was thinking like a lord of the dragon.
No. It's a god that is actually a dragon.
Okay, I'm with you now. I was just trying to paint the picture with the words that were provided.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting little part I could point out here. You see that giant electrified bleeding heart there in the background?
Yes, a very anatomically correct heart.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you that is where the kaiju elements come in. That is actually a kaiju heart.
Okay, so this is a literal element of the room that they're fighting in, not some metaphorical image hanging in the backdrop saying, "Oh, it's an artsy thing."
No, the whole religion and the Bailong Temple is based around the White Dragon Lord. They teach his philosophies. There's a specific type of martial arts, White Dragon Kung Fu, that they practice.
And Pai Long here is in a battle with somebody. We'll find out who that is.
That's not. It's not. I'll tell you right now. That's Shifu, his master.
Okay.
And
So
it's not technically a battle. That you'll see in the first few pages there that they're sparring.
Okay. Usually when you see two characters fighting on the cover of a comic,
Totally.
you go to bad guy, good guy.
Right. I'm just trying to give you a little inside information here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need all the information I can get. So you got the two stories. We saw that in the trailer here.
Right.
Here's baby.
That's the
Bailong.
Bailong Temple right there.
Yeah, and there's the baby, and he's being held up, and they're like, okay, obviously from the now, okay, albinism. I'm not aware of albinism in Eastern Asia. Is that a thing, or is that just a story element?
It's just a story element. I didn't research albinism in China or anything.
Okay.
Really the idea of him being called an albino warrior is a nickname that he's given, as opposed to him actually being an albino. I said, right. Well, he's white because of his connection to the Great White Dragon Lord. That's why his skin is literally white and not just say pale like an albino would be.
Okay, and it also looks like he has a bit of a dragon birthmark on his back.
Yes, big old dragon birthmark goes across his whole back.
Yeah, that would have been enough of a sign to me, I think.
Right.
But he does have a unique look. I mean, he almost looks translucent.
Yeah.
Like he might glow in the dark if you put him under a light long enough.
Well, there is a little bit of glowing to it. Let's see. You're gonna see in the comic there. Let me see. You should have a page down there that shows him using his electric powers. Let me see. Oh darn it, there isn't one. I thought I put it on there.
Okay, so he's got a superpower.
Yes,
sort of like funneling his chi or something.
It's a lot like that. Yes.
And this heart is wow. Where is this? Is it like hanging in a box or something, or?
No, it's floating in the air.
Okay, so it's above them.
Yeah, well, it's behind them there, but it is raised up above them a little bit. Yeah,
and
you'll notice it's not just electrified but bleeding. You'll see in the comic when you flip to it that there's literally a puddle of blue blood at the base of that heart.
You got a liberal kaiju here. I'm kidding. Yeah, so blue blood. It's definitely. It continues to bleed. That's a weird mystical thing. The heart on its own generally doesn't survive.
Right.
Long. And the fact that this one is bleeding, it's there's a neon sign here that says plot point.
Right. That it's definitely going to come into play later. Granted, I'm kind of a slow burn writer. I like to build character and story slowly, so it's not just a cut and choppy from this point to this point kind of thing,
Yeah.
So I've got 10 issues planned for the series before the major event at the end, the Tetrad Omega event. But by the end of that 10th issue there, things are really going to have escalated, and this whole kaiju thing is really going to come to a head.
Yeah, slow burn is hard to pull off in floppies, not in graphic novels, but when you're doing serial floppies, you can do the slow burn, but you got to have at least a couple of sizzles and pops in those first issues To
It definitely does. I mean, we've full on introduced everybody and established them in the situation by the end of this issue. Like Pai Long, for instance, has to go to America, to Kingdom City, and you're going to see him. You're going to see him go to America, and he's going to get into a bit of trouble there. And meeting Danny is going to be this whole experience. She has a severe and extremely rare terminal case of muscular dystrophy, and it's on the verge of causing cardiomyopathy. So she's got a good chance of dying here within a few months when we meet her.
Okay. Oh, see, now her heart's bad. There's a great big giant heart in China that's not doing anything. I'm already drawing lines between dots that don't exist, but but she's wrapped up in this destiny somehow. Otherwise, why introduce her, right?
Correct. Well, you'll notice that there's a really big hint in the name of the comic.
Yes,
Dragon Girl and Albino Warrior. Yes. So I mean, if you remember the name while you're reading it, I imagine what's going to happen is going to be somewhat obvious, but
something's going to happen to her. She's not going to be dying anymore. She's going to be quite a bit more powerful. I'm guessing, what is it, a supernatural thing or
science?
Cue up Thomas Dolby. Need him now. Okay, so science.
Yes,
she's going to
specifically CRISPR technology.
I love that stuff. Okay, so she's going to get her genes unzipped, and
I don't know if you know this, but muscular dystrophy is a genetic disorder.
Yeah, it is a genetic disorder, right?
Right. So that's part of the reason I chose that specific disorder for her, is because it's genetic. A big part of her storyline is her genes.
So that brings in the whole ancestry thing. Corrected genes might bring out other things that were in her genetic history,
right,
buried deep down in there, that are possibly going to make her more powerful.
Right.
So are we talking? I mean, we know the dragons are in here, so this is already this supernatural sort of element in here. Is it more towards since her origin is going to be a little bit more science and not necessarily prophecy and dragons and such? Is this going to be sort of like an X-Men kind of thing? She's going to I don't know, have some sort of dragon-esque abilities that are explainable by science.
Well, that's
you can't give it away.
Spoiler territory. That's a little bit spoiler territory. I'm going to say while science is a major factor in what happens to her, mythology is also tied heavily into it too. In fact, this whole series ties heavily is based deeply in the Omenverse mythology, which is a blend of the mythologies from around the world.
Okay, so that's something else here, that this actually puts this into the Omenverse.
Yes.
Which refresh us on what all the different titles you have are, because you have a bunch of characters in this thing.
Right. Well, there's the Omen title. There's Gallowsman, and there's White Druid of Michael Nero. And then we put out Guardians of Aleum recently, and then this is going to be our 5th title, Dragon Girl Albino Warrior. And just to give you an idea, there are some you've had 7 issues of stuff transpiring before this issue comes out, and so we want you to get all caught up with that. And we actually we're offering 2 digital trades. Every 4 issues we collect them into a digital trade. The first digital trade we got, Omenverse Volume 1, Seeds of Tetrad Omega, collects Omen number 1 and number 2, White Druid of Michael Nero number 1, and Gallowsman number 1. Omenverse Volume 2, Roots of Tetrad Omega, is going to collect White Druid of Michael Nero number 2, Gallowsman number 2, Guardians of Aleum, and Dragon Girl Albino Warrior. So you'll be able to catch up on all the comics that have come out before this. You'll get the whole story. And check this out. That first digital trade is 136 pages. The second one is going to be like 164 pages. Both of those are only $10.
I'm trying to find that tier.
I see the Omenverse ones are actually they're in the add-ons, but they're also added in as part of the rewards.
Okay, so they're mixed in here somewhere. I mean, the first thing we got here is the digital only for
$4.
Dragon Girl Albino Warrior for $4. Yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a producer credit if you want for a little bit extra because you're helping make this thing happen. That's what crowdfunding is, by the way, folks. Let's not forget. We started treating this like our own little Etsy stores sometimes, but it is to make these things happen. You are producing these products that you invest in. Hey, Pops, good to see you here. We're trying to drop the booster stages off of this launch that you kicked off here and get him boosted up a little bit higher here. Mike is wondering if he hit the nail on the head there because he guessed with the Dragon DNA infusion. We'll see.
I guess you're going to have to read it and find out.
Yep, for a $4 investment, Mike, you got your digital copy. And by the way, I did see as I scrolled quickly through here the digital guarantee. So if it doesn't, God forbid, make the cut financially, people who backed the digital are still going to get the digital.
Actually, it's anyone. If you backed Dragon Girl Albino Warrior and you provide your email to us, you will get a digital copy of Dragon Girl Albino Warrior, whether or not we're successful. Our hope is that this good faith gesture will inspire you to want to back this campaign. But also, even if it fails and you get that comic anyway, I'm hoping that will inspire you to back our next campaign.
Because you're going to want to see more.
Right.
Get that taste. When we finally get to the printed copy, it's the $22 level here, but there's so much more with it because if you get the printed copy, you are going to be a producer. You are going to get the digital, and you're getting these 3x5 waterproof Dragon Girl Albino Warrior stickers. Now, is that the logo title treatment?
Yeah, actually, if the stickers on the campaign there, if you scroll down a bit, you can see it. It's towards the end there. It's a light blue color.
I'm at the end.
Oh, you scroll up a little bit. You must have passed it.
There we go.
That's the sticker right there.
All right.
And that's 3x5 inches, and it's waterproof too.
Yeah, that's big. That's an index card size, folks. A little bit smaller than a postcard. I like seeing these retailer tiers. It's not called a retailer tier, but that's what it's for.
Right.
You get 5 copies of the same book for 33% off.
And
$30.
There's a little bit more to it than that. You know, most comic book shops, from my experience, want about 60% off the cover price. And so 33.33% off is not much to a comic shop. But check this out. For the 2 comic shops that can select that tier, they're also going to get a producer credit in the comic. So when people buy their comic from your shop, your name's going to be right there in there. You know, you're showing you support indie comics, that you were part of this.
And it's an advertisement.
Yeah.
Get your name out there, especially if you're in a town with more than one shop. So,
yeah.
I hate Kickstarter not letting me put the mouse over the thing I'm trying to scroll because they block it all out. Stop it, guys. We know what we're at. For 32, you got the silver level. So what are we getting extra here with the silver level? This is where you start getting the digital extras.
Yes. And this one at the silver level, that's when you get the digital copy of Omenverse Volume 1, Seeds of Tetrad Omega, with our first 4 comics in it.
and all of the unlocked digital stretch goals and all of the unlocked variant cover stretch goals. So you got a variant cover that you're planning on releasing at a certain point?
Yes, if we reach a certain amount, I believe I have it written in here. If we reach $3,349, I'm gonna release a foil cover of the comic to everybody who backed it physically.
Foil is expensive. That's a big investment for a comic. I know. I've looked before, and
it's something
looks
Comics
pretty.
Wellspring just started.
Yeah, and there's Heroes and Villains printing too. They've gotten into I don't know if it's foil, but I know it's reflective metal, so I'm going to call it foil. They can print on the interior with it, with metallic ink now.
Oh, wow.
I'm expecting to
I think
start
that
seeing
might be a bit much to have it all
Yeah,
on
I
the
can
inside
imagine.
too. Yeah.
But if you want to have a big splash page where somebody's getting ready to cast some kind of a spell, and then you open it up and there they are with energy beams coming out and it's reflecting light, that's going to be that's going to get your attention. For $47, it just keeps getting bigger, folks. That's how these things work. It's all the same stuff we just saw. Plus, you're going to get a 12 by 18 printed poster of Dragon Girl Albino Warrior cover art. 12 by 18, that is... This is 18. So this is, not bad. Nice little size there. I'm not going to be able to hang that up without knocking my hook over, so I'm just going to throw it to the side.
Right.
Is that
And
going to come?
this one, you get both of those digital trades.
Yeah, you get the second digital trade too, so you get all caught up with everything going on in the Omen verse. That poster, is that going to come folded?
No, we're mailing them out in a big. I believe it's a. I can't remember the size of it. It's a big old mailer, so the comics and the sticker and everything can fit in that and stay flat.
So I was going to go into something to stay flat then. Okay.
Yeah.
I've done it all three ways. I've got people say, no, I want it folded. I've got a paper folder a paper creaser that does that. Others want it flat. Others say put it in a tube. So I've got tubes and flats and all kinds of stuff hanging around here. For posters.
What you can't see on here is the add-ons that I've got.
I know. You gotta click first and then go through to the add-ons.
Yeah. I can tell you though, as far as add-ons, we have that imprint label, Revelation Comic, right? That's where Seder came out from, right? Well, we have you can get all three of Seder of Revelation Comics titles. That's Blitz #1, Insurrection Fox Operation, and Seder #1. There's also a Wicked Publishing bundle that you can get Ironverse. What was it? Jack Irons' Steel Cowboy #1. You can get Wrath #1 and Barrels #1 from Wicked Publishing. You can also pick up those digital trades on there. And there's a little thing here that when you get to that final thing there at the bottom, that last one. The gold level backer, I guess it's the Omenot level backer here. You get all those, you get all that stuff, plus the Revelation comics, plus the Wicked Publishing bundle, and you get all of those instead of $3 a piece like they are in the add-ons. If you get this Omenot level backer, you can pick those up for $2 each.
Yeah, that's a lot of comics here. Plus your physical comic and the poster and the sticker, and just making sure to see if this one. Well, I'm assuming that all the stretch goals get caught in here too. Now, let me back up, because the stretch goal was the foil cover comic. That just means that the physical comic's going to get a foil cover, right? Not that there'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's also a bunch of backer goals on there, huh?
I was almost going to say you get the book and you get the foil edition, because I've seen people have both. but that will be cool to get the standard edition foil. Yeah, you just need one version.
Right, everybody's getting the regular version unless we reach that stretch goal, and then everybody gets a nice foil version.
Yeah, there's one version. There's only ever one version, folks.
Yeah.
It may just be specialer than what you initially bought. Now, you got 10 issues of this written. That it's 10 to finish, right?
I've got there's 10 issues in the series before the major event Tetrad Omega, and right now I have 3 of those issues written. Obviously, the first one's written. I have the comic done, but I have 2 and 3 written already too.
And that's the other important thing to remind folks here is this comic is done.
Yeah,
you're
not going to be waiting for months. Yeah. Basically, the PDF is even made. The only thing I'm waiting on is, well, everybody, I'm doing the producer credit thing, right? Well, all I'm waiting for is this the campaign has to be successful. I got to get the money from Kickstarter. And then as soon as I have the money, I know who the backers are. Their names are going in the credits. The PDF, the CMYK PDF is immediately going off to Wicked Publishing and then off to Comics Wellspring.
Yeah. Now that's the, I was going to mention that's the cool thing about working with a publishing house like Wicked, even an indie one, is that when you do these crowdfunders, because their other titles are also crowdfunded.
Right.
So, you're getting some of their titles in here that people are adding on for extra money. And I would assume that on their other crowdfunders, your titles are available as extra add-ons so that you can get sales through their crowdfunders that aren't related to Omenverse.
Right. Actually, you can get copies of Omen and Omen #1 and White Druid #1 on several campaigns. I did the Indie Comics bundle on this, and we all those people that gave me a copy of their comic got a copy of one of my comics too. So I mean, we're spreading the word with each other there.
Very cool. How big is the issue that people are going to get this time? Is it the standard 22, 24?
Oh, hell no. I don't write short stories like that. This is 44 pages, 44 full color pages.
Holy cow. Okay, we buried the lead on this one, folks. This is $22 printed for a 44-page book.
Yep, you're only paying $9 for the physical issue. I've seen copies of 44-page comics go for $25. You only got to pay $9 on this campaign.
Well, now hold on. I don't see a $9 tier, so that's
no. The $9 is factored into there. Once you get up to the printed plus producer, that's what the $9 is factored into there.
Yeah. So to get the book it's $22 tier to get the book, but you're getting the book, the producer credit, the digital copy, the waterproof sticker, all the digital stretch goals, and if we hit the stretch tiers, your book might have foil on it.
Yeah, and let's talk about those Indie Comics bundles. Check this out. We're doing backer goals. So every time we reach a certain number of backers, people are going to get more comics, and that includes the people who did the digital only package. If you back this and we reach these backer numbers, you're getting these comics too. So check this out. We got Warbound #1 from Evolution Publishing, Home Free from Coffee Time Comics. Also, we got 3 preview comics from Energy Comics. There's also Cosmos #1 from Advent Comics, and Night #1 again from Evolution Publishing. Lost Between Worlds Hour 0 by Edwin DeCastro. Captain Orange #3, Captain Orange and the Swamp Creatures of Laturas by Amy Fusco. Again, we're doing these at 25, at 35, 45, 55, and 65. The next level,
backer count.
Yeah, this is backer count. Yeah. The next one is going to be Decay #1 and Diary of Night. Decay #1 by Anthony Stokes, by the way, and Diary of Night by Will Aldrin. That's the 55 backers. And the final one is going to include Rays #1 by Rays Comics, Crossover Division by the Midnight Hour, and Alpha Dogs by John Dexter.
I know many of those titles. Some I do not. So I got to expand my horizons here a bit. But yeah, I love these backer goals. I see so many that are like dollar goals. Not enough backer goals. Like we get so many backers, we're going to do something. I'd like to see, and I don't think you can do it with Kickstarter. Kickstarter doesn't have the built-in functionality. I'd like to see more use of the referral capability that Indiegogo has. If you like the little embed code right down here on Indiegogo, it's a paperclip. So if you click on that and get the link to the campaign, and you send it out there, Indiegogo knows that it was you who did it. And then you can go into your own Indiegogo account and say, hey, here are all the things that I referred. But the inverse is also true. Whoever's running a campaign that you referred them to can look and say, oh, I got referrals. I got 5 referrals from Mike. I got 12 referrals from RJ. I got 200 referrals from Pops. Boy, if I was running a contest, Pops would have won my referral contest. And he would get like a piece of original art or something. So many different creative things you can do with a crowdfunder other than just put it up there and say, hey, if we hit $1,000, we'll, add something onto it, to get people excited into it. So how long has this story been kicking around in your head? I mean, yeah, we'll start with that and then find out why it's part of the Omen verse.
Well, okay. Let's see. I want to say I started the idea for this comic happened in, I believe, 2015. I think it was. There was an Alterna comic called Metaphase. Do you happen to remember that?
Kind of.
A guy had a son who was born with Down syndrome, and I can totally relate to that. I had a son that was born with Down syndrome, and so this guy made a comic book where a kid with Down syndrome was a superhero. And I just imagine his kid had to freaking love that. And that really inspired me. I wanted to do something. You know what? I want to take somebody with like a disability or something and totally make him into a superhero and stuff. And so, I mean, that was the idea that sparked it. That's where Danny comes from. Yeah. Right. But then there's, the rest of it, I guess, is based on inspiration was the Karate Kid, I guess, in part would be the relationship specifically between Daniel and Miyagi, where they had that kind of father-son, master-student thing going, and I really wanted to express that kind of relationship. There's also I took Shaolin Kung Fu in my latter 20s, and I learned a bit about some Zen Buddhist principles and the whole kind of warrior monk idea. And I also learned that there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to teach martial arts. There is more to martial arts than just violence, and that's something else I want to show in this comic.
Yeah, a lot of his discipline and patience, and but it's the violence that looks cool. That's the visual thing.
Well, not just in learning it with the discipline and patience. There's there's an entire philosophy of balance in it, where that philosophy has been around for ages. Even in ancient Greece, they talked about moderation in all things, right?
Oh yeah.
It's that same kind of idea where there's balance in all things. There's a right way, there's a wrong way. You know what I mean? That kind of thing is really, really important for me to show. It's a lesson I was taught.
Yeah, I never took any martial arts. My trigonometry teacher was an Ishinryu karate instructor, and he got mad because my neighbor was in his class and would do his katas out in the front yard, and I was just kind of like sitting there talking with him, and then I was in the class. I was, we're doing this and this, and he's like, who's teaching you? I'm like, nobody. Nobody's teaching me, sir, sensei. Because he was about to get on somebody for unauthorized instruction.
Like that,
no.
Huh?
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm just like there, I'm a visual learner. We were talking about the $22 for a 44-page book because it is a big fat book. Yeah, though Mike's the expert on all the Golden Age stuff right now, reading through it. Yeah, you could get a 64-page comic book for 10 cents at one point.
Right.
You could get an 80-page comic for 25 cents in my lifetime. Those days are gone. They're
It
gone.
was comics were, I believe, 75 cents when I started collecting them. So that was in the 80s. Yep.
Yeah, it was the 80s. And then it hit that. When it hit 95 cents, I'm like, it's going to break $1. I'll never be able to buy comics again.
Right. I remember thinking that same thing. What, $1.25?
Holding the line at $2.99.
Right.
Yeah, that line didn't get held for very long. And, still buying them. Although I will say I am not buying nearly as many mainstream comics at a comic shop as I used to. And part of it is because of the cost and the quality. I don't know how much I'm spending on crowdfunding. It's way too much, but that's where the good comics are now.
Right. Indie comics are hot right now.
Yeah, very hot, very hot. I was, in fact, talking with Michael Tierney just Saturday night. The used to have 2 shops in Little Rock, and he's part of our LCS guys show. And he's a Overstreet contributor, and I was like, how does Overstreet keep track of what's being done on Kickstarter and Indiegogo now? Because it's bypassing the traditional market, it's bypassing the publishers, and it's I would love to say, hey, let's go get the newest Overstreet, and look, there's Graveyard Shift, there's Jawbreakers, all these other crowdfunded books have come out. Mike, they're more expensive than that now. But yeah, the cheap ones are $6 a book. It's a crazy thing. Now, unless you get now this was funny. Mark Millar made a big, huge announcement. It's Mark Miller. It's Mark Miller. It's spelled Millar, but it's Mark Miller. I got to keep fixing that. Big, huge announcement, 24-hour notice. You want to tune in. Everybody got excited. We're going to release our titles at $1.99. And everybody lost their mind. And Peter Smetty's like, what? What am I, chopped liver? Because they've been doing it for forever.
Right.
First thing that crossed my mind was like, what's he going to publish through Alterna? Oh, come on.
One of the things Smetty did that was smart was he cut down with the production cost by printing on newspaper.
Absolutely. Which is what they used to be printed on anyway.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's using the same printing process, the offset process that was used back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, because sometimes I have a little bit of a problem reading what's printed on a newsprint page in color, because it's still like the digital ink kind of thing, and it doesn't hit the page the right way. Doesn't look clear enough to me sometimes, but most of them do. So, yeah, yes, Greg, it's the violence that looks cool. Come on, it's just like, who's going to read a book about 18 pages of a guy staring at his belly button and contemplating the universe? No, you got to get up and kick ass. That's
this book's definitely got some violence in it for sure.
Oh.
That violence is necessary. It's just not the first choice.
So, who is the? We haven't talked about the bad guy. There's an antagonist, at least. Maybe not a bad guy, but there's definitely something fought against.
The immediate, the immediate bad guy in this particular issue is a biker gang called the Brawlers.
A little on the nose, but I'll allow it.
Right. That's it. I don't remember. I think I told you this before on another episode. The first comic book I ever made, I was 12 years old. I had created several characters, and the Brawlers is actually one of the gangs that I made up back there when I was 12.
Oh, excellent! Is it Brawlers with a Z?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that would have been so 80s,
Right. No, I didn't do the Z, but that might have been pretty cool.
Everybody's got the name on their jean jacket, and they did it with big pens.
Right.
Oh, I'm aging myself here is what I'm doing. But overall, do you have a story arc, big bad, or at least
I do. I do. The main big bad is going to come in the form of a kaiju.
Okay, so this we've seen the great big kaiju heart in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows that kaiju exist in this world. Are they a known part of this world, or is it sort of like some people know about them because they're ancient and secret and they don't come out a whole lot? Or is
The
this
only
like
kaiju in this universe are ancient gods.
okay, but are people aware of them? I mean, if Danny's driving to the hospital with her parents and the radio says, and there's a kaiju attack on the coast of Japan, is it like, oh, another one? Or is it like a what attack?
No. The kaijus aren't that common. Like I said, the only kaiju are these ancient gods, and most of them had never come to Earth at all. So they're not aware of them. However, there is an interesting thing about this universe. Like I said, this is a blend of mythologies from around the world. So
Right.
people are aware that there are gods in this universe. And it's not a matter of belief, it's just a fact of history.
And so we've seen him. It's like Thor is in New York fighting with the Avengers. Yep, he's an Asgardian. He's an Asgardian god. That guy that they talked about, a couple hundred years ago, that's him. So
God does not make a show of things. People are aware that they exist. Some of them are even out in normal society, but typically they play a backseat role. You'll notice, for instance, in Guardians of Aleum, you'll notice that Thoth was the owner of a corporation.
Right.
So that's that same kind of idea where they're not necessarily, not all of them are necessarily out and mingling with everyone. Some of them have organizations or societies or whatever that they're a part of, but the fact that they exist is known.
Okay. You said that the kaiju don't come to Earth often.
Yes.
From where? I mean, outer space, other dimension.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I told you about the Aleum tree, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially our version of Yggdrasil.
Yeah. You had that book on the show here, the Guardians of Aleum.
Yeah. The place where these dragons are coming from is one of the worlds on that world tree.
Okay. So it's a sort of a multiversal travel.
Kind of like that, yeah. I can't get too far into the history of that because we actually got some of that stuff coming up in the Dark Oracles comic we got coming up. I don't want to blow it all there, but essentially a lot of mythologies start with chaos as the beginning of things.
Yep.
And let's just say that's where the great dragon lords come from.
Your Omen verse reminds me a lot of what Mark Alessi was trying to do with CrossGen, because he had all these different titles.
I've gotten that comparison several times, actually.
Yeah, because he had all these different, not really connected titles, but connected by this one thing thread that was telling its own story across multiple issues. And it was like, I can't tell you too much about this book because it'll ruin what's going to happen in this book. I'm like, but I'm not reading. Well, now I've got to read that book. That's the point. You've got to read them all.
Right. That's one of the reasons we're providing all the comics that have come before in this campaign, and in a digital format, so you don't have to pay a bunch for it. We want people to be able to catch up on everything that's happening. You'll notice as you read through Dragon Girl Albino Warrior that it keeps referencing a blood moon, which is a major focal point in the Omen verse. And so because there's already been 6 titles established in Kingdom City there or whatever, we needed to put Dragon Girl Albino Warrior into that. We had to show that, well, this stuff happened before the blood moon, this stuff happened during the blood moon, this stuff happened on these many days after the blood moon. The blood moon is kind of our basis of time there,
where everybody falls into the continuity. So if you've got a book that's already been out and it happened like, this happened on the day of the blood moon, if the blood moon happens in this book, there might be some fallout from that other title where you can say, "Oh yeah, I know what's going on here because I read this book."
There is some of that. The idea is that there. I mean, when I originally came up with the idea for the Omen verse, it was a huge story, and I actually originally tried to tell it in a single issue, and it just couldn't be done. It was too convoluted. There was so much. Well, you go from here to here to here to here to here, and nothing actually happens in the issue. You know what I mean? Because it's all build up. So that's why it's broken into so many titles.
And
but
it's all leading towards something.
It is the Tetrad Omega event.
Yes.
You'll notice the trades are, the first one is Seeds of Tetrad Omega, and the second one is Roots of Tetrad Omega. It's all building towards that huge event at the end.
What do the words Tetrad Omega mean? Build a picture in people's heads so that they're like, so they know that it means something other than it's like just cool sounding words. You know, you throw Omega on the end of something, it's just, you know, like it's make it bigger.
A tetrad in and of itself is just 4 of something. But I don't know if you remember this. Back in, I want to say it was 2014 and 2015, there was a tetrad of blood moons, which means that every 6 months for 2 years, there was a blood moon. That's very rare. And people all over the place were talking about how that was a fulfillment of prophecy and the end times were coming and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was this whole thing. And that was part of the thing that inspired the Tetrad Omega event. That Tetrad Omega event is a major crossover between all the titles. All of the stories are going to finish up and conclude in that event. And I mean, it's very apocalyptic. We mixed up things from various different apocalyptic ideas.
And that's, you know, you do that a lot in your books. I mean, that's the whole Revelations line you've got going on as well. I mean, Revelations is the apocalypse synonymously, the book.
Right, Revelation Comics, yeah. That was Revelation Comics was actually named the president of Omen Comics and Revelation Comics, Steve Sellers, is also the creator of Blitz. The Blitzverse, and apparently there is a group in that universe called Revelation Society, or I can't remember exactly, but that's actually where the revelation comes from there.
Everybody loves the end of the world. There's so many story ideas. It's just rife with potential, long as it lasts long enough for us to finish reading them. So. Because, you know, it would suck to be reading a really cool end of the world story and it happen around you while you're doing it before you got the book finished.
Right. That would be a drag.
Yeah. Damn. Can I have the world for like just another month? I need to get this last book out.
Right.
All right.
Hey, God, could you hold things off for just a minute?
Yeah. It's like, you know, where's Moses when we need him? You know, keep his hands up.
Right.
Well, Mike, unfortunately, it does not look like I helped you out at all tonight. You're still at the 132 mark.
We got some people that have heard about it. You know, they got to check it out that might not have done it otherwise. And I'm going to share this again. You know, we might get a little fruit out of this.
That's the hope. I mean, you know, but there's so many competing live streams at the same time. Especially at this particular hour. I mean, first thing that happens whenever I start a show is my phone goes off with like 5 or 6 different YouTube alerts in a row. And that's just the ones that I've subscribed to. So people do come back on the replay. And if you are coming back on the replay, the link to the book is right below the video. It's just right. Yeah. Look past Mike and go back to the big square, look in the description and you'll find the link to the Kickstarter. You could have clicked it any time during this video, folks, and you'd have still heard everything. It opens in a new window and all that. It's real cool. The way that it does that's real nice. But definitely do that, folks. If you're in the chat right now, please share the link out so that more people can be exposed to this book. Mike's got a ton of titles out there, and you know I got to admire the way you're plugging away. I mean, you know, your last book, like you said, Seder didn't get funded. A lot of people would be like, you know, well, you know what? I'll retool Seder. I'll put it out there again, and I'll just keep putting it out there till it funds, or I'll quit. And you just keep plugging along with new title after new title.
I have a story, actually several stories inside of me, and it's one of those situations where I'm not going to be able to rest until it's told.
Yeah, I understand that. I've been there. I grew out of it, but I miss it sometimes. But I definitely admire it that you just keep cranking them out, and you just
Thank
keep bringing them here, and eventually I'll help you sell some of them. But anyway, Mike, thank you so much for bringing your book onto the show tonight, and letting us show it to our audience. There will be more people watching afterwards. I see the numbers climb up every night after our show. So
I really appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
Anytime you want to be on, I mean, you got 30 days to go on this thing. If you need to get in on the last week again and talk about it some more, be glad to make a spot for you.
I will hit you up on that for sure.
Do that.
Right.
Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. Just a podcast falling in the woods, as I say, without you guys being out here to watch it. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night, everybody.